Okay, so I want to do a quick video about this MT32-pi that I built. I got the boards offline, JLBPCB, whatever it's called. Made it up. I'll talk about it in another video, but basically it's a little DAC 5102, I think, a 1306 SSD as they call it. It's actually a display, a few buttons, a MIDI female socket, and a couple of components. H11N, I think that is, capacitor, a couple of resistors and some headers. That's about it. Let me just pause this whilst I stick the power in. So this is a Pi 02 and it goes on the one furthest away to the edge, and this should start to boot up now, and it says what version it's at. And a couple of things you need to do when you configure it, because it won't work out of the box. You need to tell it you're using this PCM or I2C sound. You have to tell it you have to put the ROMs into the memory card in the right place, and then you've got volume up and down here, so that goes down, that goes up. I had to put the gain up because it was a little bit quiet, and then this one here I think will go onto the soundfont mode, and this one goes on MT32 mode. Once you're on, let's start the MT32 mode. When you're in that, you can then cycle through, that's a CM32 I think it is, you can cycle through the different versions of the ROMs that you have on there. So that says what, 1.08 I think that says, read it back later, 1.07, I don't know. You can cycle through the systems, and then it shows you it's got a series of channels, or tracks as they call them, 5 tracks, a rhythm track. And so if we play on this keyboard, which is now connected via standard MIDI because I prefer that, so this is a MIDI in, this is going to the receive on the UART. I guess you could take a MIDI out from it, but whether the software supports it I don't know at the minute. So now the MIDI out of this keyboard is going into here, and at first it doesn't do anything. And you go, oh, okay Steve, this is rubbish. Yeah, well, the reason is on this keyboard, and by default the MT32 receives on channel 2. So on this one I have to go to get it into view, I have to go to system, and then I have to say yes to get into transmit there, and then I have to push the system button again, and that allows me to change it to channel. So there's nothing coming out, I can change it to channel 2. Now you can hear channel 2 coming in. If I go to channel 3, and if I go to channel 4, and if I go to 10, that will be the rhythm, and get onto 10. So now it's working as you expect, okay? And this was relatively cheap in the scheme of things. Now, so what, Steve? Well, you can do more. So let me just pause and I'll show you something pretty cool. Actually, something cool already. Let's now go back to this button here on the right, and this should change me to soundfont mode. And I've got a series of sound fonts that I put on there. This was the EMU SF and SF2 format, and at the moment it's blank. So now this button to the left of it here, the third button, becomes the index into it. So you push it once and it says it's loading ARP synths. Now you hear nothing again because it's on channel 10. So now we need to put this back to channel 1, and then we should hear like the famous ARP synths of the 70s that Tony Banks used. So let's have a listen. And that's, I don't know if you can hear that, but can you see it's responding to the pressure as it will to this thing. So it responds to pressure, and then you've got different sound fonts that you can put on this. Let's push another one. A Chapman stick, no, classic guitar. When it's loading, you'll see a little, let's take a slightly longer one. You see like a little icon. Now they're quite small. Electric piano, will it take longer? It's all out of tune for some reason, I don't know why. That must be the actual sound font that's like that. Electro Perk, General, User, GS 1.5. It used to show a little bouncing thing. Oh, there we are, look. So that's it, sort of saying, hang on, I'm doing it. So now they're in. So I think that's now a general MIDI that someone's used. It might even be the one that comes with the system. So that's cool. So far out of the box with a standard MIDI keyboard, you get the ability to MIDI out of your keyboard into the device. If you put the ROMs, the sound fonts in ROMs and sound fonts respectively, then you can make noises, and it's cool, right? But something else is super cool. I could, yeah. So that if we use one of these leads here to put power in, if you get an OTG cable, which I've got, you can stick that in to the second one, assuming you've left it on the USB mode, and then you can plug in a USB-A goes to MIDI, and now this thing becomes a class compliant MIDI driver. It will allow you to go in out from here into it without using that MIDI cable. So if you don't want to put one of these on, you can use a standard USB to do it. It can get MIDI over the Wi-Fi if you want, but I'll show you something else that I think is what really blew the deal for me. I'm sorry to waffle on, but hopefully you'll continue this far and you're finding it useful. So give me a second. So now I'll come over to the PC, and what I have is a USB MIDI mate. This is a Roland thing coming out into 2 channels. This one, I never know which one's in and out. Yeah, it's supposed to be intelligent. Yeah, so you can download this MT editor version 0.9 or maybe later. I'm on a 64-bit machine, so let's use that one. Double click on it, and now we end up with an editor. So if we choose the MIDI mate, you've got the choice, but we'll choose the MIDI mate as the in and out, although I'm only using the output when you think about it, because there's only one channel going in. If you push this, it will send a sound. So nothing's happening there. So let me just work out, click something. Nothing's happening. So let me just pause a second and work out if I need to change the connection. Yeah, on the MIDI mate in normal mode, that says a 2 on it, yeah, and that one says a 1 somewhere. So the 1 is like the MIDI out and the 2 is the MIDI in when you use it in this MIDI mate 2 mode. But there are other modes you can use it on. This MIDI in, you see, and that, yeah, and that one will be MIDI out. The cable's very smart, but it's too smart for me, yeah. So now when I do that, this button will push a noise, but it gets more cool than that, because I think if I do that, no, that didn't do it. Okay, let's try this one. Oh, wait a minute, I think I'm on the sound fonts, aren't I? Being an idiot. Yes, I'm on the sound font mode. So now I need to go back to this thing and say to push that button, I'll be in MT32 mode. Yeah. Now it says I'm in MT32 mode. Now I come back over here. Let me get this more central, sorry. Ah, there we are. And now when I do this, does it do anything? No. Okay, let's actually load something in. Yeah, choose a different new timbre. Oh yeah. Yeah, you hear that? They make that sensible, yeah. So I choose new timbre. I go down there, and of course, very low, and I go to the high frequency pitch setting. So now you've got the ability to control this thing like a synthesizer. I don't know whether there's a way of doing this on Linux. I mean, Mono might be able to do it, because I think this is written in .NET. But now you can go to your file and you can download some sysx files. So there's, for example, yes, Sierra sysx. These are a load of games, like different old school games, and it will have Space Quest. So that will be a game. I don't know this one, but you can download the sound font that they use for it. Well, not the sound font, sorry, the MT32 stuff. So let's look at this bass thing. Click that. Now, this is not making a noise on the keyboard. Oh, sorry. The other thing I wanted to show you is it reflects on this screen what's happened here. So let me just hold that there. Let me move the fine pitch setting. Hang on. Yep, it says fine pitch here. Let me move the depth of that. Pitch M depth. Let me move the time. Pitch, sorry, I didn't move anything there. Pitch M time. So this is super cool, yeah. Oh, so I suppose what's happening is the MIDI sysx is being sent to the device, and the device is echoing it to the screen. So the MIDI input works. Now, Normally what would happen is you'd have a MIDI out to dump information from this device here. At the moment that's not connected, so I'm going to look into whether I can put it onto the back of this little GPIO plane here, because obviously the board has got things connected in, and so I think number 8 is in and 10 is out, or whichever way around it is. So I'm going to have to see that at a later date, but they're kind of next to each other on the pin out. So it might be possible to take a pin out on the top here carefully and bolt it down to make another MIDI, or maybe I'll take the Gerber files and change it and make a new board up. Yeah. So if I click on this one, I should get a different sound. There we are. Oop, not what that did. If I click on, this says it's a Canon apparently. Yeah, it makes sense. Laser Canon. Yeah. So you see, this is a guard, whatever that is. Okay. So I'll do it here. Look, the scanner. So we click on the scanner there, and we click this button. There we are. So basically, you can control this thing with this system, a bit like my Miniac tools, and now you have complete control over the sound engine on this thing. The only thing I can't work out is how you save it. I suppose you can probably save it on this thing, and then it will transfer the information through to the device. Yeah? So it can also do a CM32, which is another sort of Roland, and then there are more of these devices that can be built, not necessarily on this platform. Let me just pause a second. So the reason I paused is to show you roughly what's in it. I got some resistors that I had. These chips are fairly special. These are the opto isolators, and the reason I use these is because they operate at 3 volts, and the traditional 6N138s are 5 volts. You don't want to blow your chip. I got a whole plethora of these MIDI inputs, female sockets. The reason is I have this Atari here. The Atari has a non-standard MIDI in, through and an out, and I want to make a board, and hopefully I'll get the dimensions off this guy's Gerber and use it, so I can expose the in, out, through, and put some cables in and basically 2 males into there and make a permanent in, out, through box. So I want to do that to make life easier. These are the PCBs. They're very easy to set up if you can do through hole. Is that around the right way? So you've got a choice of where you put the buttons, there or there. Why is there a choice? Because it depends on whether you put an OLED 1306, which I did there, a small one, or you can put a bigger OLED that takes up that space, and then you put your buttons there. You can also break out the buttons here, but I haven't done that. I will be doing that because I will be building this into a UF80, which is a CMe keyboard, and I'll get the power from inside that, put it through a regulator to give me the 5 volts for the board, and it has a back panel which I will use to mount MIDI and the audio out, and then I'll probably make a little hole in the aluminum top to stick the control board in and the OLED. Your 5102 goes in here. I put it with these pins. I'm just make certain the pins are compatible. I didn't use those ones. What I did do is I put a little bit of header across. I put headers on them so I could undo it. I put a bit of header across there so that I could rest against it. Your MIDI in goes there, and it does actually say MIDI in. I chipped it, I put it in the socket rather. 220 and a 1K go in there. Header there, anti-header there. That I bought the standard ones because if you buy the Raspberry Pi specific ones, they cost a bloody fortune. Yeah, these are much cheaper, and you just need to know where pin 1 is, which is not exactly difficult. If you're building this, you ought to be able to work out where pin 1 is. I used the little tactile buttons. I didn't have any 4148s to hand. I had some 4007s, so I used those instead, and this is a higher current one, but it works fine. I had a couple of displays. I got some more on order, and they were pre-soldered. I go to AZ Delivery in the UK because they're a German company, but they seem to come out quite good. And so that was a quick slot in, and because it's on cables, I could just make up a DuPont cable and move it like on stalks and put it where I want. Yeah. These I don't need. That's the wrong resistors. I had them from before. Those are the chip sockets, 3x2. That came with the A to D. Don't need this stuff. I ordered some cheaper ones. The first one I bought was £10. Now I've ordered some that are £3 each. It looks like the same board, and because this is plug in and plug out, I'll be able to work out what I've done with it. One last thing I'll do in a second is I'll pause and I'll stick up the config and I'll show you what I changed to make it work on my system. Oh, I forgot, you know, you normally use like 100 nano, which is 0.1 micro, and I only had these ones for my guitars lying around, so these are big fatter ones, but they fit nicely. You see it fits there. We can worry about if it changes the tone, but that's not why it's there. It's just a decoupling capacitor. But the thing is that you normally get the tiny little ones, and that worked out okay for me, yeah. Okay, I hope we can read this. I would normally use my other system, but let's just do it the easy way, yeah. So what did I have to change? You can decide whether you go to the MT32 or the Fluid Synth for soundfont. Leave this on if you want to plug in an OTG, because that allows you to put an OTG cable in and then a standard MIDI cable like the MIDI mate I showed you, and then you don't even have to have that MIDI in, although I have no idea if it does MIDI in and out. If it does, wow, that makes my life so much easier. Now, I've got one of these 1306 ones. It won't be able to refresh at that. Fine, I didn't change that. I didn't change that. What was the first thing I changed? Hang on. Oh yeah, sometimes you have to change the stereo. I didn't do that. So here's the first thing I had to change, and I didn't do this, and I was a bit scared that I got something wrong. So you notice it says none. So I had to change it to simple buttons, and this is for the GPIO pinouts, yeah. So without that, it didn't do jack, yeah. So please change that to simple buttons if you use the buttons like I do. I'd like rotary encoders, but not in this circumstance, yeah. Then I'm not using a mister. I had to change the gain to 2, and I might put up to 4 because it seems to be, this is the master volume, and the output seems quite low for my speakers, yeah, and I might have to change that in the end. MIDI, now here's where you can change the MIDI thing. So if you do alternate, it starts at 1 to 8. I left it as standard, but I can change my MIDI controllers quite easily here. You can choose the set. I left it old. And the CM20L is the new ROMs if you have them. The Fluid Synth I left that at 0, so it starts at the 0th index into your sound fonts. The only thing with the sound fonts is I think you got half a gig of RAM on these things and much less by the time you used it, so you can't put very large sound fonts in, but sound fonts were designed to be small in the first case. Oh, you could put a gain on that as well. Okay, I didn't know that. That's cool. LCD, so here I had to change it to SSD 1306 I2C because that's the one I bought. If you buy a different one, you'll have to change it. That was 12832. That was standard. I left it normal network, so I put that onto Wi-Fi, and then in the WPA supplicant I put in my details, and then an MT32 showed up on my network. I left the DHCP on. This is where you can change the name of it if you want. So I'm probably going to build a few of these, and they'll have different names, yeah. You can send RTP over the network, yeah. This is quite fantastic, yeah. And you could put an FTP server on it. It does make it not very secure, yeah, but your choice, and that allows you to load stuff up and down. So that's it. Basically, build the little thing. It took me about an hour, and I'm not particularly fast, yeah, but it worked first time. The only thing that didn't work was I forgot to configure it, which I've just shown you, yeah. Most people don't tell you about that, and I'm going to experiment with these buttons here because I don't really want to build this into the synth, yeah. So I'll probably check the wires out with a logic analyzer and just check what they're doing, yeah. I put a different color in. I'm a bit colorblind. I think the one on the left is black. If I did it again, I'd probably put yellow there, so it's bleeding obvious that that's the negative and these are controls. I've ordered some cheap ones of these, so I think they're going to work. Yeah. Oh, and the gain. Put the gain up and tell it which screen you've got. If you have the bigger screen, you have to move the buttons there or on the header. And I made one, my friend made one from kits, and it didn't work, and I said to him, I don't know what's going on. He realized I hadn't given him the chip, yeah. These were quite cheap if you buy them from the right place. So yeah, I'm having a lot of fun with this, and I hope you have fun with it too. Thank you for watching, and please leave any comments if you want to know anything more about it. Thank you to the people that wrote this stuff and built or made the PCBs up. Cheers, bye-bye.